Jay here for Stretford Paddock with a bit of breaking news. You've probably seen it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Manchester United have submitted a bid for Benjamin Sesko. So I've not been back from the US tour for long. I was in bed when the news broke, but I thought, you know what? We'll go into the kitchen, we'll get into a live, and we'll get everyone involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think about this news. Before we get into the comments, though, let's just go through what we know, because this only happened, or this only broke about literally an hour ago, was it? Maybe. Let's have a look. It was David Ornstein on it, as always. Sorry, 2 hours ago was slacking. That's what you get for getting off a flight and going to bed. David Ornstein 2 hours ago said, breaking: Manchester United make offer for RB Leipzig, or to RB Leipzig, I should say, for Benjamin Sesko. Proposal 75 million euros plus 10 million euros, obviously in add-ons, reflects Manchester United's valuation of the 22-year-old, and they believe striker favours Old Trafford. No reply yet from RB Leipzig. Newcastle also working to close deal. I'm going to get into some of the nitty-gritty of that, because obviously that's just the tweet. There is the article as well. So let me know what you think. Great to see so many people in the chat already. Darren Sankey, John Adair, Steve It Out. Yeah, Steve It Out says, I want Jay's kitchen face Zoom. Then we are so back. Darren Sankey also says a ridiculous amount. A lot of pressure will come if this move happens. Now, it's quite curious, isn't it? Because Manchester United were linked with him. I think it was Ornstein and Laurie Whitwell that broke the story earlier on. I don't even know what day it is. Literally, I'm struggling. I think it was last week, wasn't it? That Manchester United were prioritising a move for Benjamin Sesko. So they had that story. Then we saw that Newcastle were in for him as well, which makes you think, United going to have to bow out if Newcastle come in and sort of move the dial in terms of the numbers and the money that they're willing to pay. But as we've seen with Brian and Bumo, and even with Mateus Cunha, Manchester United tends to go for players, or it's sort of the news breaks that we're linked with players when we know we've got a good chance of getting them. And you have to wonder what has been going on with Manchester United and Benjamin Sesko. Has there been a conversation there where United think, you know what, we can get Sesko even if someone else comes in for him? I'm not so sure, but I was chatting to one of the journalists before about this before we left the States, and they were saying like a similar thing. They were saying, well, United so far this season, or this summer, I should say, when we've gone for a player, it's a player that we know we can get, that the player is keen for the move to Old Trafford. If you look at Brian Mbumo in particular, he was very keen on a move to Old Trafford, and that paved the way for it to happen. I think had he been a bit 50-50 or not bothered about coming to Manchester United over Spurs, whether it might have given Spurs a green light, or even Newcastle, who were linked with him. If you remember early on when it was first sort of suggested he was going to leave Brentford, he might have ended up going to one of those clubs, because they've both got Champions League football, and obviously Manchester United haven't. But he really fancied United, and it was obvious from the start that that was his preferred move. That helped pave the way for Manchester United to get the deal done. I know it dragged on a little bit in terms of the fee. You look, Mateus Cunha, obviously it was a buyout clause, but again, he was happy to come to Manchester United. He seemed pretty keen on that move. So I wonder whether United have had conversations with Sesko that make them believe, or make us believe, that we can get him. That it doesn't matter if Newcastle want him, as long as we can get the sort of the money there or thereabouts, what Leipzig are after. He'll not force a move, but he'll prefer a move to Old Trafford. Let me know what you think. I'll get into the nitty-gritty of this article, and then we can get into some more comments. Hit that like button as well, please, people. Omar Jets says, everyone rejects Newcastle, lol. If this happens, right, if United end up with Sesko, then that is going to be a pretty poor batting average for Newcastle when it comes to transfers this summer. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Let's see what else Ornstein had to say, because obviously in the tweet he did mention Newcastle. So I'll go through the article here. This is from The Athletic. I won't read it all, but I'll read you the sort of nuts and bolts of it. So United have submitted a 75 million euro plus 10 million add-ons bid for Sesko. We know that. The offer reflects United valuation of the player, and the club's belief is he wants to move to Old Trafford. So that's similar to what I was just saying. Leipzig are yet to respond to the Premier League club's proposal. The Athletic reported on July the 30th United were prioritising a move to the 22-year-old forward if they were to sign with the striker this summer, and had made informal contact with the Bundesliga club. United's offer comes after Newcastle had submitted an improved bid for the striker. Their opening bid of 75 million plus 5 million in add-ons was deemed insufficient, leading Newcastle to increase it to at least 80 million. Newcastle have long-standing interest in Sesko, with the close pursuit of him coming amid last season's top scorer Alexander Isak basically being linked with a move to Liverpool, who had an initial £110 million bid for him rejected. And then it goes on to talk about United have strengthened. Sesko scored 21 goals in all competitions last season for Leipzig and has recorded 39 goals and 8 assists in 87 appearances for the German club since signing for RB Salzburg in 2023. His contract runs until 2029. He's also linked with Arsenal money earlier on in the window before they went out and got Victor Gyökeres. Now, we were talking to Andy Mitten on tour in, I want to say, Chicago. I was getting cities mixed up where we spoke to him. I can't remember whether it was at Atlanta or Chicago. I think it was in Chicago. We spoke to him. And he said, look, this has been going on for a while with Manchester United and Sesko. They've been looking at this player for years. He's been someone they've been monitoring, they've been looking at, and they've been keen on. Now, there was talk of us getting him a few years ago, and it was felt like, even from the players' side, that he wasn't quite ready for a move to Manchester United. He's gone to RB Leipzig. He's obviously done well there. He's done well enough to get Newcastle and Manchester United prepared to bid upwards of 80 million euros for him. And now it looks like he's ready. You think he's ready to make that move. Let me know what you think. It's a bit of a weird one with Benjamin Sesko, isn't it? Because there's lots of pros and cons. I think it's not like he's mad prolific. It's not like he's putting up numbers where you go, wow, how's he managed that? You've got to go out and get him. Now, someone like Gyökeres, for example, did have those numbers, did have crazy numbers. But the flip side to that was the Portuguese league is nowhere near as strong as the Bundesliga. So people saying, are those numbers slightly skewed by the level of or the caliber of opposition? Also, Victor Gyökeres is a bit older than Benjamin Sesko. I think Gyökeres is 26, 27. So there's at least, I think, 4 or 5 year difference there. Sesko, up and coming, quite young. However, his numbers are good rather than great. And one of the criticisms I've seen when I've been speaking to people who do watch him is that he will score a worldie, and then the next game or the next couple of games, he might not be at it. There's the questions about that level of consistency. However, that's quite true for a lot of youngsters, isn't it? A lot of young players. He's still relatively young, and it's just finding that consistency. Let me know what you think. Just Ash and Stuff says, nah, he will be gold. I believe in him. Ruben did it with Gyökeres, We'll do it with Sesko. Ami says, next should be Morgan Rogers, Donnarumma, Baleba, Arajo. I mean, he wants everyone. Kieran Higgins says, I love target men. Luca Tone, regen, sign me up. T Mill says, it's a risk, Jay, but we need goals. We lacked goals last season. Astaire says, hi, Jay. We are looking for a goalkeeper. We should have asked James Trafford to join Old Trafford. I like what you did there. Omar Jet says, Sesko will cook. Kojo P and Just Ash Stuff, both mentioning Baleba. They say that we should be getting Baleba. Akash K says, fully agree with Steve. Amarin needs goals right now, and he can't afford to wait for Sesko to come good. Not convinced Sesko will hit it here from day one. Now, I've spoken, I know Steve said it. I said it, I think, in a video with John Shin and me and Joe, that I preferred Ollie Watkins. I'm not going to pretend I didn't, purely for the fact that Ollie Watkins can come in and do a job, I believe, straight away. And that there's a slight question mark on how long it'll take Benjamin Sesko to get acclimatized to the Premier League. But there's no denying that Sesko's a better long-term option. Even though I preferred Watkins, I admit that myself, that Sesko at 22 years old is obviously a better long-term option than a 29-year-old. That goes without saying. One thing I will say about all this, and for now it's a big if, because we haven't got him. We've not got a here we go or an Ornstein saying it's a deal done or whatever, or bid's been accepted, and we never know. Newcastle might, if they've been embarrassed, haven't they, Newcastle, in this window? Let's be honest. They've gone from making all these sort of, I know it's not the club, it's the fans, sort of these sort of boasts and these claims, and we're going to get this player, we're going to go with that player, and we've got, we're going to do bits in the transfer window and all the rest of it. They've gone from all that bravado to missing out on players and then losing their star striker. Or it looks like they're on the verge of losing their star striker. So it's not been a happy window for Newcastle at all. So maybe they might feel like we have to get this deal done. We have to make this deal work, because at the minute we've not got Mbumo. I think they were linked with Cunha at one point very early before it became evident it was going to go to Manchester United. I think Gyökeres was when there was thought that maybe Isaac could go at early doors, because it's like, as Isaac goes, then they might be for Gyökeres, but it looked like Isaac was going to stay, so there wasn't much movement there. Now, I know they have brought in, I think, Anthony Elanga, so it's not like I'm done out, but then Isaac leaving is a bit of a kick in the teeth, and it looks like that's going to happen. So now you feel like they've got to do something here, and maybe they can use the Isaac money if they think, right, well, we're going to have 110 million quid. We can push the envelope when it comes to bringing in Benjamin Sesko, that Manchester United just aren't able to do. If they start going over or towards the £100 million mark, I don't think Manchester United can get anywhere near that. And I don't think we should, To be honest with you, I don't think you should be making Benjamin Sesko £100 million signing. Now, I'm not saying that that's definitely going to happen, but if Newcastle were to start going a bit silly with it all, United have to be a little bit more cautious, because while I would love to see Sesko arrive at Manchester United, I think there should be a limit. However, with all that being said, if you'd have said to me at the end of last season, going into next season, Manchester United will have a new front three, and that front three will be two proven Premier League goal scorers who are dangerous, create goals, score goals, have done that, on a consistent basis for at least 2 seasons in the Premier League, and Benjamin Sesko leading the line, one of the hottest young strikers in Europe, I'd have taken that. I'd have been chuffed to bits with that. It's not like United haven't reacted to the absolute debacle that was last season, the lack of goals that happened last season. It feels as though United have gone, look, we need goals, and we're not doing it half measures. I said this a few weeks ago when we had Mateus Cunha wrapped up, and we were waiting for for Brian Mbeumo. Let's get it right. I was saying that, look, Cunha ain't enough. We need Mbeumo or someone of that ilk alongside him, and we also need a striker. Now, at that time, I was thinking maybe we're just going to get Mbeumo, and maybe we're going to have to sort of make it work with either Xerxes or Højlund, or probably more long term, but Cheeto as well. Maybe there's a combination there, or a little bit of a sort of a rotation policy that goes on with those 3 strikers or 3 attackers. You might say Xerxes is a bit more of a 9.5 than a 9. However, it seems like United are going, no, we're going to go all out here. We're going to go for it. If we're going to get challenging again, we need a new front 3. We've got 2 of them. Let's bring in Benjamin Sesko. Let me know what you think. It's exciting, isn't it? Full name Huggy says, I'm intrigued when this money, I think it's where this money has come from. H says, absolutely terrible signing. Brian McDonald says, how was the flight home, Jay? Great to meet you in Atlanta. Brian, great to meet you. Just quickly, I don't want to mention this. I know this is about Benjamin Sesko, but I have to say a big thank you to all the Reds we met over in America, whether that was in New York, whether that was in New Jersey, because we stayed in New York for the New Jersey game, whether that was in Atlanta, whether it was in Chicago. Just the friendliness, the hospitality, the passion that I saw was phenomenal. It is what makes Manchester United the best club in the world. Certainly not the best team in the world at the minute, but hopefully with some more signings, we can get there. We need Baleba, says Mac Vazina. A lot of people talking about Baleba. Chris Power says, it's worth a punt, Jay, isn't it? Haha. Up the Sesko. Listen, it probably is worth a punt. If you look at who's about, there's not loads, is there? It's not like there's an abundance of strikers you can go, well, if we don't get Sesko, then there's at least him, and him. I think there's Sesko, there's Watkins. Who else is there, realistically? I mean, there was talk of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, wasn't there? No disrespect to the kid. I think he had 1 goal in his last 23 games. So that was a little bit worrying. I think Steve mentioned having him as a backup, which I get. But as an option, if you did have injuries and you're going to be turning to him, is he reliable enough? Is his injury record good enough? I'm not so sure it is. There just seems to be, there doesn't seem to be the obvious candidates out there. Let's get into some of the numbers with Benjamin Sesko, because that is a slight concern for some people. His numbers are good rather than great. I think he does score goals. And I think he scored goals pretty consistently, but he's not mad prolific, is he? He's not a sort of a player who's hitting that 30 goal a season in all competitions kind of mark, which most people think is the benchmark. So in the Bundesliga, let's just focus on the Bundesliga. His numbers are quite good, actually, to be fair, the lad. 64 appearances, 27 goals, 7 assists. So 34 goal involvements from 64 games. We always say, don't we, if you're around the 1 in 2 mark, that's all right. That's good. That's the kind of benchmark in it. And if you look at his minutes, it's a goal involvement every 145 minutes. So it's a goal involvement every game and a half, a bit more than a game and a half. So that's not too shabby. I think we can look at that and we can go, okay, if you're looking at the Bundesliga, which is a good league, I don't think it's amazing, and I wouldn't say it's better than the Premier League or even as good, but it's a good league. I don't think it's the same sort of level as the Portuguese league. And I'm not just saying that to have a dig at Vitsi Gyökeres, but I just think that's obvious. So last season he scored 13 goals in the Bundesliga and he got 5 assists, so 18 goal involvements in 33 games. The season before, 31 appearances, 14 goals and 2 assists. So obviously there it was 16 goal involvements in 31 games. The only sort of slight disappointment is, if you're going to be, sort of harsh on him, is that he's got 1 fewer goal the last season than he did the season before. You want players moving in the right direction. However, he has had more goal involvements. So it's not that bad, is it? I just want to look at some of these stats as well, because I just want to see how often he scores, because he score in fits and starts. He does score. He tends to get single goals. Last season, he scored 2 goals in one game once, and that was against FC Augsburg earlier on in the season. And then it was all 1 goal here, 1 goal there, 1 goal here, 1 goal there, 1 goal there. So it depends how you look at that. I mean, he did score against Bayern Munich as well. Obviously, they're the top tier opposition. He got an assist against Dortmund. His record, he got 2 goals. He got another goal against Bayern Munich, albeit a consolation goal in a 5-1 defeat. So, yeah, he can score against good opposition, and he has scored against good opposition. 22, he's not a kid, but he's still young. I mean, let me know what you think. That's the stats in it. Let me know what you think about his style of play. Let me know whether you think he fits into this system. From what I gather, he does. I don't know if he's quite that level, though, where I'll be like, oh my God, we've cracked it. Connor Cowman says Romano tweet. Let's have a look at what Fabrizio Romano tweet is saying. I went with the Ornstein one. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted a minute ago. Thank you for whoever pointed out for me. Manchester United are again in direct contact with RB Leipzig to discuss details of formal €85 million bid sent for Sesko. Newcastle want final answer ASAP from club and the player. United internally feel they have Sesko's preference. No official decision yet. So it does feel like, sorry, my phone's just going absolutely crazy. I'm just making sure that's nothing that's like, making sure it's not Romano ringing me to say, I've got a bit of breaking news for you, Joe. It feels like I said earlier that United are going for Sesko because we believe we can get him. That we're not giving up because Newcastle got in for him. Newcastle, it says here from Romano, want final answer ASAP from the club and player. If Sesko goes to Leipzig and says, "Look, I ain't got a Newcastle," does that close the door on that? Does that mean, like, look, it's Manchester United where you could go to? Because if he says, "Look, I'm not going to go and sign for Newcastle," so you can forget it, and there's the Manchester United offer on the table, which is there about the same money as Newcastle, does that mean United are the only show in town and he'll end up at United? I don't know, because there is also the option that Newcastle could outbid United. Leipzig could say, look, we're not going to sell to Manchester United, so you can forget it. We're not going to give you that option. It's Newcastle. We'll have to wait and see what happens. It's just a bit crazy, isn't it, man? What is going on? It's all gone a bit turbo. John WK says 280 likes, 2.7k watching, up the paddock. Akash is in the chat as well. Billy says, afternoon, Jay. Are we all here for the epic Barcode FC meltdown if this happens? Newcastle fans, bro, they're going to be having a tough summer, aren't they? I don't know if Anthony Elanga's going to be enough for him to placate them. If they lose Alexander Isaac, if they lose out on Mbumo, because now they're pretending they didn't want Mbumo, but we all know they did, and they lose out on Benjamin Sesko, then yeah, it's going to be bad. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Brad, just a couple of... sorry, I'm just going to have to switch here. I didn't have time to charge my laptop, so I'm doing it on the line. Forgive me. So I'm using a charger for me. I'm using the plug for me light, so that's why it's gone a bit darker. So forgive me. It's all a bit... Anyway, listen, quickly. Sesko was Arteta's first choice in January, so must be something about him. Nice to have a striker, looks good in the air, coming who isn't 30. Caleb Dirty says, member 52 months, Belabor is not the shout. Mikel Damsgaard starts are perfect for what we are lacking, should be the next signing. Akash K has gifted 50 Stretford Paddock memberships. Thank you to Akash. Thank you to everyone who's got involved in the chat. Jake Bennett says, no way this guy worth 75 million, too risky. Get Watkins. So bit of a mixed bag, but thank you to everyone who's got involved in the chat. We'll be back tomorrow with any more developments on this. Plus, we'll have transfers live. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. The big breaking news: Manchester United are in for Benjamin Sesko. Official bid. Is it going to be enough, or is he going to go to Newcastle? We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for watching.